For years now, we've been speculating about dead internet theory, a scenario where the internet fills up with so many bots that it just becomes too meaningless for us to use. But as of last year, 50% of articles online are AI generated, so now I think we can pretty accurately call it dead internet reality. And at this point, we all know that AI hasn't given us anything that really improves society either. That's what we've been told, but no. What we've actually gotten is emotionally fueled AI garbage, slop that the algorithms love to show us, and the amount of it is staggering now. Already back in 2023, estimates from within the industry said that users made 34 million new AI images every single day. And that's probably a much higher number by now. That means that if you go on any social media today, you'll probably see, a few very obvious AI videos. But I'm also willing to bet that you'll see a lot of AI videos that you don't even know are AI. We've reached that point. The tech is good enough to fool most of us at scale. But what no one is talking about is why this very flood of AI slop might actually be a good thing. And why? It'll save the internet. If you go on YouTube and type Varoufakis, he's a famous economist. Well, the first video you'll see is this as of this recording. Check it out.
Stroke of economic warfare, EU leaders seized 100
Does this seem a bit off to you?
In Russian assets frozen.
To me, this is pretty obviously an AI video. The books have nonsensical titles and the voice doesn't quite sound like the actual Varoufakis.
They transferred the money.
His face is also
as aid
just kind of off. Well, it just looks a bit weird when he talks, right? But look at these comments. You have to scroll pretty far down to find someone who actually addresses this, that it's AI. Now, to be fair, these comments could all be bots. Honestly, who knows at this point? But of course, this is just one of many videos and many channels at that are ripping off the likeness of economists like Yanis Varoufakis. Apart from Yanis Explained, you can find Prof. John Mersheimer Talks, another channel gushing out several videos a day that feature the AI version of the economist Mersheimer. And here's Economics and Finance, that's all about AI Richard Wolff, yet another economist.
Not broken by accident.
I guess a few individuals figured out that, just like me, people really seem to enjoy watching economists rant about society, and I guess they figured out how to monetize it without becoming an actual economist themselves. But let me just show you one more Yanis one, because one of the videos on this channel, the Sharp Line it's called, and yes, it's also AI, got over 800,000 views, and this one the real Yanis actually responded to. This is what he said. Yes, I know. Nothing I can do about it. YouTube refuses to take these deepfakes down. And even if they do, they spring up faster than I can shut them down. I suppose we must all learn to doubt all we see and hear. Perhaps this is the beginning of social media's self-immolation. Okay, maybe you're starting to see where I'm going with my clickbait title now. Self-immolation, to set fire to oneself or to cause serious harm to oneself. Is that what YouTube is doing here? Well, let me introduce you to Cory Doctorow, a journalist and author who coined the endearing term Enshittification. Doctorow thinks that that's exactly what's happening. He thinks that social media platforms are actively becoming worse and worse. Here's how platforms die, he writes. First, they're good to their users, then they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves and their shareholders. Then they die. So let's try to do a little thought experiment. Imagine you're the good folks over at Facebook for a second, all the way back before it was Meta. According to Doctorow, this is how you'll go about developing your platform. Step 1, start by making something people actually like using, like the OG Facebook, connect actual people. Like, remember poking your high school friends on Facebook? Those were simple, good times. But from here on out, it's pretty much just downhill. Step 2. Get everyone's friends on it, so if people leave, they'll feel left out. Get the whole family on Facebook. Have parents add their kids. Step 3. Slowly add posts people didn't ask for. And remember, start using these new AI algorithms that everyone's talking about to curate your feeds. Investors love a good algorithm. And they're great for getting people pissed off too, and that's great for engagement. Actually, on a serious note here, as an example, Facebook was the main news source in Myanmar back in 2016, and its algorithms basically amplified a genocide there by promoting hate content, all because it was good for engagement. Anyway, that engagement is good data though. Step 4. Use that sweet personal data you collect from your users to sell cheap, targeted ads to businesses. But don't tell the businesses you're also showing ads to bots. Step 5. Eventually, you'll get businesses hooked on these ads, and then they can't leave. When that happens, you can start raising prices for their ad spots. Step 6. Buy competing platforms like Instagram. Then you won't have any competition. Antitrust laws or monopoly regulations don't seem to apply to you anyway. Now, if investors and people start getting a little skeptical of you, well, don't worry. You can always just rebrand yourself to something meta. Step 7. Profit. A lot. Make a shit ton of money. An optional step here, use those profits to buy a neighborhood in Palo Alto and build 11 homes for yourself. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg actually did this. And because of the construction noise, he gifted noise-canceling headphones to all his neighbors. What a great guy. Or just really out of touch, maybe. Anyway, at this point, your platform is what Doctorow calls a zombie platform. And that's basically what Facebook has become. But you can still keep adding more shit to your pile of a platform, and at this point you shouldn't care anyway. No one new is gonna sign up anyway because everyone who wanted to join is already on it. And for new users, it's pretty much worthless, or worse than that. So just siphon away the last bits of value from your existing users.
Seems like everyone is talking about these websites that use artificial intelligence to generate images.
And suddenly, 2022 rolls around, and here comes the wonders of generative AI. This actually fits perfectly with your new plan. Now you can start promoting AI Slop, and heck, incentivize it too. Give people the ad money they deserve for posting AI slop. In fact, this could actually open up an entire new category of influencers who help other people on how to make money with that AI. You could start a pyramid scheme, why not? There's actually an entire subreddit called AI Tubers, a community of people devoted to adding more AI slop to the pile for some of that sweet money. Funny thing is, unsurprisingly, but funny all the same, all the posts here are so obviously written and responded to by AI. That's just great, guys. But this is where we find ourselves today. Facebook is in the death spiral of Enshittification. There's so many bots on Facebook now that even advertisers are starting to leave. Like, try to go on this other subreddit, r/Facebook ads. It's probably not somewhere you go every day, but half the posts here are angry messages to Meta about how bad it's gotten for advertisers. Okay. Now, you might also be thinking, yeah, sure, Facebook sucks, but that's just Facebook. And maybe social media in general. It's not the entire internet. Well, as the software developer Tom East has pointed out, the modern internet has basically consolidated into 5 giant websites, each filled with screenshots of the other 4. 5 techno-feudal platforms to rule them all. And guess what these 5 giants have in common? They're filled with AI slop. Even Amazon, that's not a social media, it's filled with AI book slop. Actually, when Doctorow's own book Enshittification came out, it took less than a day for the slop copies to pop up. That's some serious irony if I've ever seen any. In response, Doctorow tweeted, "Love that the slop merchants are using my book to further enshittify Amazon and that Amazon's terrible QA standards is letting them do it." On Spotify too, the top charts now include AI songs. Apparently, some people like them too.
Playing my favorite new song, which is an AI song. Have you heard what they're doing with AI music? They took 50 Cent's Many Men. Music's disturbing because it's my favorite music now. Like
AI music is your favorite.
Oh, there's AI covers. Have you ever heard any of the AI covers of 50 Cent songs in soul?
That's great, Joe. I think everyone knows that Google search sucks too. Nowadays, I feel like I have to go 3 to 4 pages through to find something that's actually useful. And that's because the links are sorted by engagement maximizing AI algorithms.
Google had this problem that they had hit maximum growth because they had 90% of the search market. What they're going to do is make Google search worse, so that you have to search more than once to get the answer you're looking for. And
Apparently, at one point, searching for William Shakespeare showed this image as the feature image. Yeah, that's an AI Shakespeare. Anyway, I'm sure you're as tired of hearing about AI slop as I am of talking about it at this point, so let's get to the real point I want to make here. What happens to the internet if this continues? When these platforms become too big of a pile of shit to actually use because of AI slop? Now that I have you hooked, this video is a bit different from my usual ones, and I'm not quite sure how it's gonna do. So it really helps out a lot, maybe more than you might think if you drop a thumbs up, well, if you're enjoying it so far. And even more if you subscribe too, if you want to see more of my videos, of course. And if you're already a subscriber, don't worry, I haven't deviated from my longer social sci-fi commentaries. I have a lot of ideas in the works. I also want to thank all my kind supporters on my Patreon page for keeping my channel going. You folks are the best, and the reason why I can turn down unethical sponsorships. Patreon is by far the best way to support these videos I make. I post podcast versions of my videos there too, and also just general updates about upcoming work and stuff. Or if there's anything else you're wondering about, you can always message me there. I read and respond to everything on Patreon. Okay, I'm done shilling myself, so let's get back to it. The internet used to be pretty cool. As Dr. Rowe writes, it came about at a time when we were fed up with a few big retailers deciding on what we could buy, a dozen big publishers and studios deciding on what we could read and watch, and half a dozen big labels deciding what music we heard. And so, born from a yearning to cut out the middlemen and monopolies, the internet arose as a way to engage and do business directly with other people. People who made and did the things we actually liked or needed. It also became a way to be creative and to show that creativity to others. Like Craigslist was basically a hobby project at first, but it actually became a hugely disruptive business and a cool business where we could buy and sell each other stuff to, recycle it instead of tossing it. Nowadays, Facebook's marketplace seems to be where people go instead. But again, even though it might have been good when it came out, now even Facebook themselves boasts about Marketplace's shitty algorithm that ranks its search results based on engagement metrics. I'm basically trying to say that Facebook Marketplace also sucks now. And of course, Meta loves us using it. It gives them the perfect data. Data about exactly what we want to buy. But back before AI, you can even make an argument for early social media platforms like the Facebook for being decent websites because they actually connected us to other people. And the feed was filled with news and info that we actually wanted to see from our friends or our families or our local communities. But now on Facebook, only 17% of time spent on the platform is spent viewing content from friends, and that's 7% on Instagram, and those stats are from Meta themselves. Adam Conover actually did a great video on why we open social media apps in the first place. Basically, he points out that we open them just to check our messages from our friends, but then after checking, we get stuck on the feeds. And instant messaging is arguably not a bad thing, but as a gateway to these feeds, you can probably see the problem, right? These feeds are now overwhelmingly just engagement bait, ads, and worst of all, AI slop. And that brings me to my main point of the video. This is basically my argument. AI slop is the final straw that's going to kill off social media, and more generally, the 5 platform monopolies that make up the internet. And it's not just because it's low effort garbage, and it's not just because people really seem to hate it, which are for good reasons, I should add. I mean, there's a pretty big movement against AI slop these days. As far as I can tell, more and more people are becoming more anti-AI content in general. In my last video, for example, I had the brilliant idea of turning a simple sketch into an AI-generated version of that same picture. I thought it would look better or more aesthetic in my video, but I got so many comments that were outraged by me doing this And that really hit home for me. Rest assured, I've learned my lesson. But yeah, it's not just because people hate it. It's also because some of it is really, really realistic. People believe this shit. Just look at the comments section of any of these AI economist videos. And it's pretty obvious that images and videos just keep getting better and more convincing too. That means that we can't trust what we see and what we read anymore. But when more and more people start to realize this, especially those who seem not to notice the AI slop right now, well, what's the point of even using the crumbs that are left of social media platforms like instant messaging and staying updated? Why should we stay if it's all AI slop? There's no point. And that is how AI slop will save the internet. If you accept my premise that platforms increasingly are the internet will be saved through the complete AI-assisted enshittification and self-emulation of itself, to the point where we just plain stop using it. As AI slop becomes more and more prevalent, gradually, I think, people will just stop using the 5 big platforms that allow it. Facebook is great evidence that it's already happening. Like, try to ask someone around you what they think about Facebook now. Unless you're talking to someone in their 80s, I'm almost certain that they'll laugh and tell you about how bad it's gotten, or shrimp Jesus or something. And then, as people's friends slowly start to leave, even more people will leave too, because what's the point of using social media if your friends aren't? So I think the retreat might become exponential, and then a breaking point might happen. A mass exodus of users from social media. And finally, if you'll excuse my bland poetry, just like a phoenix rising from the ashes, something better will come of it.
Every picture ever painted and every film ever shot could be viewed instantly in your home via an information superhighway.
Something like an internet that looks more like it did in its early days, a democratized space where AI slop and algorithms owned by a few techno-feudal lords don't control our information landscape. Now, of course, I have to point out that nothing is deterministic. This won't just happen automatically. There are some really worrying trajectories. I actually discussed some of the important ones in a previous video I did on AI and democracy. I'll leave a card here if you want to give it a watch. But yeah, part of why I'm making this video here is because it's not deterministic. There wouldn't be a point to discuss all of this if the internet just became better automatically. We need to be aware of what's happening, right? And to take action to get this better internet back. So, what does that action look like? Well, first, at the higher up levels, we need to break up the big monopolies and start allowing for real competition. That would be a great first step. And for that to happen, some serious antitrust regulations need to be put in place, of course. There can't be any more anti-competitive corporate mergers. Also, the people who actually work in tech industries need to start collaborating and innovating again. Like Doctorow suggests, most of the people who do the engineering for all these platforms hate them as much as we do too. And that brings me to us. What can we do? Like you and me, very specifically. Well, of course, the easiest thing is to just stop using social media that incentivizes and even allows for AI slop. And then the hope is they'll implode or maybe revert to being decent websites again, although that seems kind of doubtful. But they may listen. YouTube, if you're watching this, please start deleting AI likeness videos and AI slop like you do with copyrighted stuff. But we can also start using some of the alternatives that are starting to pop up already now. Instead of Google, for example, there are search engines out there like Kagi that don't use an ad-based profit model. Kagi is apparently much better than Google, but it'd be even better if it was a one-time purchase instead of a subscription. That's for another video. Or we can use local sites for recycling stuff instead of Facebook Marketplace, even though it might be less addictive. For news and commentary, we can go directly to the news sites and give them the ad money and work around social media as the middleman. Or you can take this video as your daily reminder to log off for the day. Go be in the real world. Maybe go watch some birds or read a book or something. Hang out with someone. But before you log off, though, wink wink, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you more pessimistic than me? And thank you kindly for sticking with me until the end. I'll leave a link to my sources and my Patreon page below, and my MySpace, maybe. Big shout out to Tom. Guy was an OG.